My folks went through a terrible split 2 years back due to my father being unfaithful to my mother. My sibling, a young adolescent boy, my sister, a young teenage girl, and myself, a teenage boy, discovered it when we returned home sooner than expected from staying at a family member's place, and we overheard our mother shouting at our father about the betrayal before entering. The argument halted once they noticed our arrival, and we caught our mother accusing our father of infidelity. A couple of days later, our father gathered us to explain that he was seeing another woman who was expecting a child. I questioned him directly if he had been disloyal, and he replied that it was complex and not our concern. We haven't felt the same about our father since that incident, and we don't care for his new spouse either. She used to be a colleague and acquaintance of my mother's at their job, which is why my mother resents her as well. She acted like a companion while secretly being involved with my father behind my mother's back. She had also been unfaithful to the father of her preteen daughter, leading him to abandon both of them. And I realize it could seem like my father is the biological parent of her daughter, but he's not. Another person might be her real father, but my dad couldn't be, as they belong to different ethnic backgrounds. My father and his new partner tied the knot in June. We were compelled to attend despite our reluctance. It felt uncomfortable witnessing him wed the individual he betrayed my mother with. Then my mother appeared and disrupted the ceremony, shouting at both of them and exposing their affair, declaring they were twisted for forcing my siblings and me to witness it. She confronted my father's wife for feigning friendship and then dismantling her marriage and our household, compelling us to observe. This infuriated my father and his wife, especially since her daughter was present and overheard it all. Seeing my siblings and me approach our mother upset them further. My father organized a discussion, then ejected my mother and warned of involving law enforcement. Once the celebration began, he inquired why we went to our mother, and we explained it was because she's our parent. He claimed she was mistaken and spoiled his event. My sister responded that she was indifferent and he had it coming. My father's wife stated that her daughter shouldn't have been exposed to our mother's outburst, using those terms, and I just shrugged. I'm unsure of my siblings' reactions, but my father's wife instructed us to depart. I contacted our mother, and she collected us, and we haven't visited my father's place often since then. My father desired more visits from us, but he expected us to resent our mother, which we didn't. He attempted to justify her wrongdoing, but none of us seemed interested. To us, it was unfortunate for him, but we hadn't wanted to attend the ceremony regardless. My father engaged in a solemn conversation with us, stating that one cannot justify individuals committing wrongs and spoiling experiences for others. He added that she should never have exposed us to such matters. I countered that he shouldn't have been unfaithful and subjected us to that ordeal either, yet he did. I added that he shouldn't have conceived a child with another while wedded to our mother, but he proceeded anyway. My father considered disciplining me for those remarks, but also didn't want me around if I rejected my half-sibling. It's likely been around 9 or 10 weeks since our last visit to my father's residence. During his visits or messages, he anticipates us to hold anger toward our mother now, but we don't. He suggested we should direct anger at both, not solely him. Am I at fault? I overheard my father inform my mother that infidelity isn't the gravest offense, and poor responses to it are more severe than the act itself. That seems like bizarre rationalization to me. Oh, not at fault. I hope you're prepared to sever ties or at least maintain minimal interaction. Your father is foolish. No disrespect, but I hope he takes it personally. Your mother overdid it a bit, but who are we to dictate when someone shares their reality? You're an adolescent, not clueless. Your father was disloyal, deceived, and compelled you all to participate in a marriage ceremony with the woman involved. Your mother lost her union, her companion, and then saw her children pulled into the chaos they created. Naturally, she lost control. Your father's portraying her as the issue when he essentially destroyed your family unit and now demands you all resent your mother. For what reason? Revealing facts. He's frustrated you're not acting as if all is well and applauding him like no harm occurred. Tough luck for him, but choices lead to repercussions, even after time passes. You and your siblings are entitled to your emotions. Also, your mother didn't spoil the event. He did. She merely voiced what others already understood. Hold your position. You're not the one who erred. Your father said you can't justify people committing wrongs and spoiling things for others. The nerve to claim moral superiority after his actions and believe he can lecture about it, haha. Attending the ceremony and yelling was excessive. Yet the facts were stated. Nothing beyond that. Your father's a huge double standard bearer. I host a large Halloween gathering with overnight stays annually. Each year, I enforce the identical guideline. If you're under the influence, you're not operating a vehicle. If anyone prefers not to stay, I'll happily cover a ride-sharing service home. I have pals who abstain from alcohol but volunteer as sober transporters for the night. I implement this to guarantee safety and prevent anyone from attempting to drive while impaired. I apply it to my New Year's celebration, too. This is a recognized and accepted policy among most of my acquaintances. Well, until this year. I recently befriended someone I'll refer to as Jade. We connected at our workplace and became quite friendly. She caught me discussing the event with another acquaintance and inquired about it. I described what I mentioned earlier and she asked to join. I agreed, provided she comprehended the policy. She seemed fine with it then. Now, advancing to today, the gathering is next weekend, and I was finalizing the attendee list when Jade approached for a chat. I said sure and asked what's going on. Evidently, she discussed my policy with her partner, who claimed I was domineering by preventing people from departing my home while heavily impaired and trying to drive back. I clarified my rationale. Jade and I are both employed in a medical facility. We witness the tragedies of impaired driving incidents regularly, and Halloween ranks among the worst evenings for them. I could never pardon myself if someone exited my home impaired and suffered a crash causing severe injury or fatality. Jade still insists I'm domineering, as it wouldn't be my responsibility if someone departed and got harmed. I personally differ, but anyway. She stated clearly that upon arrival, she'd enjoy her beverages and entertainment, then drive herself back. I've observed Jade consume alcohol. She has minimal resistance to it. The unfortunate girl can scarcely remain upright after half a mixed drink. I informed her that regrettably, if she can't adhere to the guidelines, she can't participate. She became highly distressed and hurled several insults I won't reiterate. Most individuals support me, but some say it's an odd stance to maintain. I intend to uphold my choice, but I'm questioning if I'm overstepping. So am I at fault? I'm a healthcare professional myself, have been for 15 years. I've witnessed everything. In my region, I could face legal responsibility for someone's impaired driving, which is a major reason for this policy. I'm going to resent you for aiming to be an accountable grown-up and avoiding people driving under the influence, potentially harming themselves or others. Strange position for Jade to uphold, and terribly immoral for someone linked to a medical institution. Not at fault, but as unpleasant as it is, you might need to report her discreetly. She could be breaching a conduct standard, but at minimum, she should be monitored for displaying such disregard for safety and lives. Yes, I just wanted to highlight the medical aspect since some institutions would view this gravely. As an employee acting that way risks acquiring a driving offense, which might create awful publicity. You're not at fault. She can't use a ride service. The arrogance is intense with her. Your reasoning concerns liability, not dominance. You appear here as someone blocking traffic in the slow lane, asserting they're preventing speeding. Then for Jade to be foolish enough to declare outright she'll consume and operate a vehicle instead of at least pretending she wouldn't imbibe or had transportation arranged. Goodness, everyone errs here. My mother and father separated when I, almost grown, was an infant. My mother remarried when I was a small child, and she had my half-sibling. I resided with my parents equally until my father passed away. I stayed with my mother until I was a preteen, as that's when Child Protective Services became deeply engaged. My half-sibling has problems. I'm unaware of the specifics. He's simply extremely aggressive, even from a young age. He behaved that way universally. Strangling, hitting, attempting to injure with sharp objects, various acts. My father's parents proposed to house me when Protective Services declared the situation unsafe. My half-sibling faced numerous issues at school as well, and he had a child services representative who met with him monthly back then. I don't believe they were Protective Services, but perhaps they were. My mother opposed my relocation, but it came down to me or my half-sibling, and his father preferred him with them, so my mother eventually conceded. Protective Services, the court, and guardian ad litem determined it was unsafe for me or any youngster while my half-sibling resided there. I enjoyed a positive existence with my grandparents and felt more content with them regardless. I attended a new school in a different area, which benefited me since I avoided hearing about my half-sibling harming other children or educators. There was conflict involving my father and my mother's spouse, so he disliked me considerably. Then I despised being required to interact with my half-sibling because he assaulted me each time, but my mother insisted we support one another like siblings should. I've encountered my mother only a few times since I was a preteen. She's permitted to visit, but solely unaccompanied and with prior approval and scheduling. However, she dislikes that process. She believes she should access me freely, and I should be allowed to visit her home whenever. It doesn't matter that I desire no involvement with her residence. Last month, my mother sent a message revealing she's significantly expectant, and she stated we must discuss because she's concerned about managing, and I'll need to assist. I advised her to notify protective services about her condition rather than burdening me. She responded multiple times with messages like "This is your half-sister, and she requires you, and I'm your parent and I need you." She repeatedly urged me to contact her, and I disregarded it. I knew she was likely furious, but I still refused to return even as I approach 18. When I didn't reply, she mentioned my half-sister would enter foster care because her husband's parents are too elderly to accept her, and my half-sibling can't be placed somewhere he might be mistreated due to his hostility. My mother's parents passed away last year, so they can't accept the infant either once born. After 2 weeks of her persisting against my response, I contacted protective services about the pregnancy, and I assume they approached my mother because she panicked and increased her messages. Am I at fault? Not at fault. What did she anticipate from you? Should you assume care of the infant? Or does she hope you'll return and serve as the infant's protector? If they won't seek assistance or resolution for your half-sibling, they can't rear a baby. Your mother is unrealistic. What does she foresee happening to your half-sibling when she can no longer manage him and after her death? Notifying protective services likely preserves that child's existence. You shouldn't relocate with your mother, but even if you did, that won't resolve the issue of your half-sibling being unable to coexist with other kids. I believe your mother's implying she hopes once you're 18, you'll accept this child, and that's something you must absolutely reject. Do not allow this woman who has continually disappointed you to manipulate you into resolving her issues. I have 2 girls, Maya 27 and Eva 23. Maya earned an associate's in early childhood, musical instruction, and mental health, and attends courses part-time in specialized teaching and educational management for additional qualifications. Eva finished her medical training a few months back. They both reside at home to conserve funds. Maya labors at least 50 hours weekly. She's a caregiver for a solo parent who is a healthcare worker, so 1 week she covers 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 3 days, then the following week the same schedule for 4 days. She also instructs dance and sound lessons at several nearby institutions. When she has consecutive long shifts at her caregiving role, she often rests there to avoid departing by 5:30 a.m. Eva feels exhausted from her studies, so she only works 20 hours weekly at a health center. She covers 9 to 1, then heads home. She's thinking of resigning completely and pursuing training in beauty services. Since Eva works limited hours, she's required to manage her own washing. Another disparity in duties is animal maintenance. Maya isn't obligated to exercise or nourish the dogs, a small breed mix and what my children term a total mixed breed, and a feline. Eva must handle it 3 days weekly. Eva's also the one who requested one of the dogs and the cat. We tend to provide more assistance to Maya, delivering food to her job, collecting items for her, or preparing a basic dish, particularly on days she returns from a 15-hour day or after consecutive shifts. Today, we prompted Eva to remove her garments from the drying machine before leaving. She tends to initiate the washer and dryer prior to departing with companions for extended periods. She remarked that we handle Maya's washing, so we shouldn't mind hers. I explained it's entirely different assisting her sibling who works 15-hour shifts versus her when she's merely socializing. Now she's upset about preferential treatment because Maya doesn't handle the animals or cover her vehicle protection. She utilizes her car for employment, so her employer pays for it. My spouse has always yielded to her, so now she's suggesting we should be stricter with Maya since if Eva can manage these tasks, so can she. I still believe it's reasonable to aid the daughter who endures 15-hour shifts plus a 20 to 30-minute travel, but not feel identically about the one with 20 hours weekly. You are at fault. You have a child fresh from higher education already so drained that she's contemplating career changes. You have another accelerating toward exhaustion. First, those are your animals, so you should care for them. Second, cease providing more to one over the other. You obviously prefer one, and it's blatantly impacting the less favored. Also, rather than praising it, I think you should discuss with Maya why she's subjecting herself to that. Why isn't she employed in her field and instead pursuing more credentials? You have two mature daughters evidently not handling adulthood well, and you're commending one while increasing pressure on the already drained one. Correct. It's as if one offspring appears to labor extensively but manages fine, and one is clearly battling fatigue, and the guardians are like, let's prepare food and offer help to the one not displaying struggle signs. What? You are at fault. Heavens, man. My folks don't return until 8 p.m. on most evenings. I, a teenage boy, arrive around 3 p.m. typically, and my sisters, both preteens, get back around 5 to 5:15 p.m. usually. They attend an after-school study group, and another guardian drops them when collecting their own child. My sisters are terrible with spitting. They behave like infants when denied, and they still eject saliva at people's faces. I experience it frequently because I deny my sisters' demands. They often request to use my computer or gaming console, asking me to prepare it or locate their desired activity. I refuse since they damage items constantly. They then spit at my face for it. Another trigger is when I decline sharing from my meal during outings, as we seldom dine together at home. They demand mine with frozen drinks too, despite theirs being identical. I avoid their saliva in mine, so I never permit them to sample. My parents ignore the spitting. They allow it directed at them often and don't even object. Our grandparents from both sides and my mother's relatives no longer host them due to the spitting incidents. My father's an only child, so no relatives on his side to refuse. Recently, my parents have griped that I prepare meals for myself post-school, and upon their return, my sisters are famished and requesting food. They suggested I prepare for them. I declined. I stated they can return to 3 hungry children if preferred. They accused me of exaggeration and said it wouldn't harm me to nourish my sisters. I replied it would, as they spat at me, so they merit nothing from me. My parents claimed children spit and it's trivial, and that shouldn't cause me to let my sisters remain hungry until their arrival. I suggested they provide funds for delivery if concerned, but I'm not cooking, and I'll delay until they return if needed. My parents stated assisting my sisters shouldn't be problematic for me, and I'm being harsh and penalizing them for acting childishly. Mom even claimed I wouldn't react this way if they were brothers, which is absurd. I wouldn't want a brother spitting at me either. Am I at fault? My parents claimed children spit and it's trivial. No, actually, kids do not spit. Attempt it in a community school and you face suspension, if not assault charges. The sisters are becoming wild and the parents are attempting to offload them onto you. I'm truly sorry. Seriously, something is dreadfully amiss with your household. Children do not typically spit. How do your sisters function in school with that repulsive conduct? Please avoid retaliating by spitting, but withhold anything or assistance until they alter. Your parents are rearing your sisters so poorly that they're turning them into rejects. No one will desire those unpleasant girls nearby. I recognize you're enduring now, but those girls' futures are being damaged. You'll be okay eventually.